Welcome back to the podcast. We have special guests today. In person, we have Shawn and Megan.
Hi, guys.
That's right.
That's our daughter and our future son-in-law.
So we're really excited to have them on. As you guys know, we've been doing some episodes on Christian perspectives on dating, as well as conversations that dads need to have with the guy when he's interested in the daughter. And so we're actually talking a little bit about that whole process. We asked you guys specifically about your journey of pursuing, right? Purposefully pursuing.
Waiting on the Lord.
Patience.
What it looked like to surrender where our hearts were at.
Our first meeting about wanting to date my daughter.
Yes.
Yes, so you guys will get to hear their journey leading up to the engagement. So the purposeful...
In the courting stage.
Yes.
The courting
Yes.
and then the dating.
Which is full of practical tips for you and your children, potentially, if they're in that season. But if they're not, this is good wisdom to have beforehand. Enjoy the episode. Hey, welcome. We're so excited about this episode because we've got the family here, and new family, because Megan's getting married.
Woohoo!
It's so fun. Yeah. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Shawn, my fiance, and I'm Megan. I've been on here before, but I'm glad to be back.
Oh, it's so good.
You know, if you've been listening to the Courageous Parenting podcast recently, you know that we have done a couple episodes on Christian dating perspectives, as well as like the conversation that dads get to have with the guy when they come with interest in the daughter.
If they're courageous enough.
That's right, if they're courageous enough. So we thought that it would be a really fun and encouraging podcast episode to have Megan and Shawn on, because you guys have been engaged for how long now?
July. So
July 11th.
11th. So just over July, August, September.
2.5 months.
So about,
Yeah.
2.5 months.
And how many days until the wedding?
21.
21.
That's right.
21 days.
And
3 weeks
counting.
exactly today. Yeah.
How's the preparations going?
Oh.
Good.
I wouldn't be able to do this on my own without you guys. And
Yeah.
his parents are amazing, and just all the support. And Shawn is amazing too. And but we're just knocking things off. We have a list, and we're doing things every day. So yeah, that's good.
It's been amazing to see how the Lord is guiding people to make decisions, and teamwork that's happening, and putting it all together is amazing. So short period of time, but hey, that's the way it should be.
I know. Well,
Short
actually,
engagement.
some people might not know this, but when you guys got engaged and we were talking about dates, you were like, oh, maybe the middle of October. And we were like, oh, well, what about a little bit sooner? Because of weather. I was like, okay, why not?
I was like, sooner, that's good with me.
You're like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
So let's go back now. We're just talking about the present, but let's go back, because a lot of people have questions about how should Christian dating work today? How do you navigate that as parents, as intentional Christian parents? There's so many mixed ideas about this. And how do we do it in the most God-honoring way possible? And we're having you guys on. One, we love you guys. But also, you have done this in such a God-honoring way. Not just because of our convictions or your parents' convictions, but because actually your own convictions. And that is the way it should be. So this has just been happening in such a beautiful way. So maybe you want to ask the first question. Maybe we go back to the beginning.
Okay. So I'm going to start before you guys met. Where were you each individually at in your walk with the Lord, and with the idea of like potentially looking for a spouse or not looking? Shawn, do you want to start?
Okay. Yeah, I can start. I was in a spot similar to, well, I won't spoil it, but in a spot where I was like, oh, I'm just going to be like Paul. I'm just going to serve the Lord. That's where my fulfillment comes from. That's all I want to do, is just serve the Lord and just be with him, just spend time with him. And
so you weren't looking for a
I was not out looking. I was not out searching. But every man is got their eyes always open. But I wasn't out searching and looking for my significant other. I'd kind of given up a little bit. So
you gave up. Okay, people want to know about that, because I think a lot of people are giving up these days. Parents are wondering if there's going to be someone that's up to the same maturity in Christ that they've raised their children in. And there's also people in their 18, 19, 20, 25, 30 years old, depending on how long it's taking them. They're wondering, where is my person?
Yeah.
Right. And they can get discouraged in that process.
Yes. And so it was more or less like a surrender of like, okay, Lord, this is in your hands. And like, I give up putting my own selfish ambitions, wants, desires, and needs first and looking for the woman I'm looking for, but I'm no longer going to do that. I'm going to serve you, Lord. And if it's in your will, you'll do it. And so that's kind of what I mean by giving up. I was like, okay, it's no longer in my hands. It's in the Lord's hands. And now it's in his timing. And so I think that was the point, was where I was at right before meeting her. And so
okay, Megan.
It's cool too.
Yeah.
I would want you to share too how like your prayer changed.
Yes.
Because that's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Very important piece was like last year. My prayer for a long time was, Lord, bring me my wife that has all these things and this and that, and she's this way. And so I was praying for my own selfish agenda of like wanting this perfect wife in a sense. And the prayer changed to, okay, Lord, sculpt me to be the man that my wife needs. And Lord, build me to be the man that a woman needs, that you've called me for. Like, and so changing that mindset shift of like, okay, it's not about me and what I want, but it's about, okay, Lord, who do I need to be for who?
Oh, because you're never going to attract what you aren't. So if you're not being the way you want somebody in your life in that way to be, then you might even be blocking God from doing what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And causing you to have to wait longer, right? Because, that's so beautiful. Well, Megan, we got to hear.
Yeah.
Well, it's very similar. It's so interesting how the Lord works. But I was just so focused on the Lord. It was right when we had started Rooted Bible Church. And that gave me a lot of purpose that I didn't know was kind of missing. And I felt like the Lord was like, this is what you're called to do. You're called to worship. And I took that literally. I took that, I'm called to live in Horseshoe Bend. And I'm called to live with my parents for as long as I need to until my husband comes. And I'm called to work at my church and serve and do worship and anything else that calls for serving there. And I took the word worship literally, even though everyone knows like worship isn't just song, right? It's how you live. It's anything that gives glory to God. But I was so focused on, I'm supposed to do worship. And so I was just so focused on that. And I just was like, every guy is a brother in Christ. Like, I don't want anyone pursuing me. Like, I'm just like, because I was distracted before that. And I saw the enemy use someone to distract me. And so I was just like, okay, I'm over this. And I also, honestly, I had a prayer to the Lord of like surrender, but it was honestly doubt, and which comes from pride, right? And I just had this prayer because like I'll talk to God, and you talk to God with asking, but you also talk to him and just your heart's desire and where your heart's at. And I was like, okay, Lord, like you're calling me here. You're calling me to this church. I love my church. It's not just my parents' church. Like, this is my church, and this is the church you call me to. But I was like, who's gonna come to Horseshoe Bend? Who comes out to this cute little town? It's wonderful, but it's tiny. And anyone who I'd met in the Treasure Valley, like friends, and they'd be like, oh, you're from Horseshoe Bend? Like, what's in Horseshoe Bend? And like they like don't like, or like, I think I drive past it when I go to McCall, like that. So I was like, who's gonna want to live out here? Who's gonna want to be a part of a small church? Like, it's just such a different thing, but it's definitely a big passion and like a heart shift in mind that the Lord gave me. So it was kind of like a prayer of doubt, like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna be single for a long time.
Hey there, we just wanted to invite you to join us in the next Parenting Mentor program, where we talk more about the heart of parenting in session 2. So take a listen to this next little clip, and we hope you join us.
Steve and I realized that we were getting too comfortable with the world's vision of how to raise our children.
What Angie and Isaac have done in creating this is literally phenomenal.
This program provided awesome scripture-based teachings and just some really great practical applications.
This class has just really rocked my world.
It has given me a vision for not just the different things that we might focus on as parents who are trying to raise our kids biblically, like how our kids are behaving or what we're doing with discipline, but also the things of the heart.
We now have a game plan to how we want to raise our children. We have so many answers to the questions that have been in our mind.
It's not just these hypothetical situations, or it's not just this, here's what I think you should do. It's, let me show you where in scripture this is.
Do your legacy a favor and yourself a favor, and just do it.
One of the best things that we've done this year, one of the best investments we've made this year, and I could not recommend it more.
We're no longer fearing dark days ahead, but we're so excited to raise lights, to be leaders for the next generation.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you came to a place of contentment in that
Yes, I
and
did.
finding fulfillment.
I did.
Which is a huge thing.
I'm
and
very
I think
thankful
a
for
lot
that.
of girls struggle with that contentment of
Yeah.
like, this is where you have me, and I'm not going to be discontent and trying to get out of it.
Yes.
The thing is you're never good. You always have to resurrender everything in your life. You're never fully like able to like surrender something for a long period of time. Like you have to die to yourself every day, right? So like that was something that I had to learn is like, oh, I'm surrendered to it, and then I wouldn't focus on surrendering that, and then it was like I would get trapped in it again of like wanting or desiring or just like being sad instead of rejoicing in singleness. And I also had this mindset shift like singleness is really, it is a gift. Like it's such a small period of time where you're alone with just the Lord, like, and like I know like people could say, oh, easy for you to say you're getting married in 21 days. But like truly, like I was in that season and everyone goes in those seasons, and just like not taking it for granted because everything happens. God makes everything happen for a reason. He redeems everything.
Yeah.
He uses everything. He doesn't waste a single moment if you work with him and you partner with him. And so that was something I had to acknowledge. And like the full like idea of surrender, it was like such a big surrender that I always had the desire to be a wife, but it like was locked away. Like I didn't even have it on my front mind. Like it was so like kept by the Lord because I gave it to him. And it was also a mindset shift of like, before I was like, I have to trust God because he's the only one who I can trust. I have to trust God because he's in control. Like it was that I have to like, man, I'm in this bummer situation. I have to trust God. And it was like a humbling moment with the Lord where I was like, no, I get to trust God.
That's
like
good.
he's a creator of the universe, and he can hold this for me. Like, thank the Lord, I don't know where my husband was at right then, because what if it was, I mean, thankfully he's wonderful, but but like you don't know if like there's gonna be a situation that like you can't handle that baggage, you can't handle that knowledge, because we're so fragile humans, and so I'm very thankful for that.
Wow. So how did you, so we're here in Horseshoe Bend. The church is its own story. 164 people came day one. It's just been, God's been moving. A lot of things happening in the beginning. Everybody should know that Ethan and Megan were taking turns leading worship on Sundays. We had no worship team other than
for
you
the first like
guys.
6 months.
And-
me and Ethan on vocals and guitar, and
And then if one of you were sick, one of you was on stage by
by
yourself
with
in
the
front of the whole
guitar
church.
and the mic.
And amazing job. The Lord used you. You guys grew in your ability, and I think every Sunday God just helped you
It's
all
a
those
big
Sundays.
maturing task too, to be able to do that. And we saw a lot of growth in a very short period of time.
You know what I was praying
You
for?
guys.
I was praying for a worship leader to come to our church because we needed
I was
somebody.
praying for that too.
We were all praying for a young man to come who could help with leading worship, and that was like a legit, when people would say, what's something that we can pray for the church, that was something that we all said, actually. So that's funny that you bring it up, because you probably don't even know that, but it was like literally for months we had Tim, Ethan, we had family members like, oh yeah, will you pray for a young man to come and
And we wanted someone young too, because it was me and Ethan, we had this young environment that was very like authentic, and like it was rare in a worship.
It was
like,
really pure too. There was no performance driven. So we wanted someone who had that same heart of like just genuine worship to the Lord and not trying to like impress people.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's really special.
So Shawn, how did your family, because they came first, I believe, how did that happen? Like, how did you guys, you don't live, at the time, you weren't living in the local area. So how did that happen?
So they take vacations. They come drive up right through Horseshoe Bend every weekend, and they start to see the sign. And the sign looks great. And they just kept thinking, and Shawn wanted to go initially, and my mom shot him down a little bit.
Oh, from when we met them at the football game, because the boys played football with their son Zach.
Yep.
Very briefly met them. Yeah.
And we briefly told them, oh, we're planning a church, and they're like, oh, that's great. We wish there was a church here when we lived out here.
But we moved, and I almost got the feeling of that was maybe part of the reason to move. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I was like, man, they were really neat people.
Yeah. But then we
Too
didn't
bad.
see them
They moved
for
out of town.
a while. Months, actually. So then they were driving by, saw the sign.
Yep. They were driving by, and Shawn wanted to go. My mom was stuck with Star at the time, and she just wanted to stay there. And so it took a little while, and then eventually they got around to coming up here, and they came to the church, and they just loved it. Just absolutely loved it so much. And the next week they were inviting me to come, and I was Like, what? Why would I go to Horseshoe Bend? Like, that's 45 minutes away from where I live. And I was a part of a different church at the time.
But I think your mom had some kind of understanding of things in this regard early, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
She had her eye on Megan.
She had to attract me to the church a little bit. And so initially I was like, no. And then she sent me, I think, a photo of her off her Instagram or something. And she was like, do you think this girl's cute? And I was like, yeah, Mom, she's pretty. But, you know, what are you doing? I'm going to church here. And at the time, you know, I was just like dead set on the Lord. I was just was not even looking at girls. I was just like, the Lord is my focus. But she was like, just come to church. And so eventually I was like, okay, because I always went wherever my family was going. So, and so we went there.
You came with your family.
We all came, and, you know, Megan was there, and I saw her.
This is so cute.
And, any thoughts? You know, when did those thoughts of Megan, more than a friend, start happening?
Well, when I first saw her, you know, in today's world, not a lot of women dress like how she does, and it stands out, and it was very attractive. And just the modesty in the dresses and the way she holds herself, the way she walks and talks, just how she held herself completely. And so when you're looking for a godly Christian woman, or you're observing for one, I wasn't really looking, those are things that very much stand out. And so, but it was after a week or two. It was after that first week I was really praying about it, because the Lord had given me a pull towards her of pay attention to her. And it was really kind of a shock at first. It was like, what do you mean, Lord? Like, I'm focusing on you. He's like, no, like, you know, pay attention to Megan. Like, and it was kind of like, okay, Lord. And so really praying about it. And over that week, he really started to change my heart, and I wanted to go back to the church. I wanted to talk to her more, because I had just met her barely, and because he was just giving me this like pull towards her. And I come back to the church, and there's nobody on worship. Empty stage.
Both of the kids were sick that week, and I remember Isaac was like, Angie, you could get up there. You should just get up there. And I'm like, no, I feel like the Holy Spirit is saying that it's good for the church to see that we need more people on the worship team.
We were ready to get the Spotify out and just play.
Yeah, we literally did. We were like, nope. Out of 170 people, there's got to be more people there with the gift of music. They're holding out on us. We're going to let it be an empty stage. And then sure enough, that week, you and your sister and 2 other people applied.
Yep. And
for
so,
the worship team.
Yeah, we saw no worship, and they was playing on speakers, and it was like not working sometimes. And Isaac gets right up there and he goes, so we need a backup worship team. And
he's like, this is opportunity.
Yes. And then the service goes on, and my sister was like, hey, we could do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she had no clue that I had been praying about Megan, and also praying like, Lord, if you're calling me to get to know Megan more, you're going to have to put me in her path. And I had been praying that whole week up coming to that, like, Lord, put me in her path, because I'm almost an hour away. And so for Megan to say that, my sister Megan, funny enough, it was like, oh, it was like a nudge from the Lord, like, hey, I heard you, like, I'm putting you. And then after the service, my mom was talking to Isaac, and I walk over, and she's like, hey, come here. And Isaac's like, can you play the drums? And the Lord told me, don't lie. And I said, yes.
Because that's not your favorite instrument.
It's not, and I'm not a drummer.
But
I have the ability to do so.
And everybody should know that he had his own band at the time. He's the lead guitarist and kind of part of this band with a team of guys. So
yes.
But drums weren't your top instrument. But we had this church that had just come to us that said, well, if you have a drummer and you need drums, we have a brand new set of drums we'd like to gift your church. And we're like praying for a drummer then also.
Yes.
For literally a month.
So we went and picked up the drum set, brand new, in the box. Must be a few $1,000 drum set or something.
We went and picked it up that
week.
We
picked it up, and then boom, you're playing it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You actually helped us set it up. We went and picked it up a few days before you came to the first worship team practice.
Wow. I remember setting it up.
So how long after that did we have a meeting about you being worship leader?
Oh man, it might have been a few weeks after that, because after that point when you were like, can you play the drums? And I was like, yes. You were like, you're on the worship team. I'll send you an email tomorrow.
It was literally so that was Sunday, and then that next Thursday we had like an audition for him and his
he
sister.
had an audition first,
and then that week, I think, after that, you took him out? No?
Yes.
Was it the week after?
It might have been 2 weeks after that.
2 weeks after.
Yes.
Were you leading the audition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you and Ethan were like, checking them out, making sure they're they're capable.
That was like the first audition too. Like we had ever. I didn't know how to audition, so it was like felt weird because I don't like the word audition because it was like we weren't like, oh, are you good enough? No, we were just trying to like we had to know what they can do.
Just make sure they can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. And it was super simple. He was actually on the cajon, so it wasn't even a real like audition.
Yeah.
And then the next Tuesday or Thursday we had another like rehearsal, and it was the first rehearsal they came to, and it was going to be before the Sunday for church, and he was setting up the drums, and this was before he took you out, and he has a little story about that.
When did you start feeling a little bit of like, he's interesting?
Well, that's a complicated question because right at first I had a lot of respect for Shawn. And I think I've told you this before, like his like spirit in a sense just like felt very similar to mine. Like it was like I've never experienced like the same level of spiritual maturity, because everyone has different levels of spiritual maturity in different ways and areas. And so for some reason I felt like I could just like we understood each other, and like the way we talked about the Lord, with the way we prayed, the way our countenance, the way we were listening to people talking about spiritual things was just very similar to me in a very like comforting and peaceful way. And so I had a lot of respect for him instantly, but I also was like, I'm not going to think anything of it because he's coming onto the worship team. This is my church forever. I'm not going to like end up getting in an awkward situation with someone who's coming to our church. He seems committed. I'm like, no, that's not dating.
So she had kind of disciplined herself to say no.
So I like built this wall very quickly, and at first I wasn't thinking much of it, and then like as a week and a half went on, I had to have that conversation with myself, and then for almost a month I was just like, nope.
Which you had told us this even before Shawn came onto the scene, that you really were not looking for somebody.
Yeah.
And that you just wanted to worship the Lord.
Yeah, that was a conversation we had just had with you just randomly, like, how are you doing right now?
You literally asked me too. You're like, what do I say if a guy tries to pursue you? And I think I can't
you
remember what
literally
I told you.
said that you aren't open right now.
Yeah, I was like, I am open. Like
and that was just a few weeks before you came to church.
But I also told Dad, I was like, the Lord can do anything, and I could be wrong about timing. Yeah. I was like, I ultimately would love to get to know them and them to know my family and become family friends first, because like anytime that's gone the other way, it hasn't worked out. I'm like, no.
Well, it's interesting because people are probably wondering, why did you want our influence so much? Why did you want your parents' influence so much? And, because that's not normal today. Usually children are, when they're 18, they're going and they're like, doing it however they want to do it.
I'll make my own decisions.
Because it's a false idea that in being an adult is doing everything on your own. Like that doesn't bring peace. Like when you love your family and you have strong like parents who love the Lord and siblings, like something I learned was like it's just you don't get peace. Like having you guys like approve and like be there along the way brought me so much more peace, because I didn't have to think everything for myself. I had other eyes like noticing things when I wasn't even around, like all of the above. It's just way better. Way better. Yeah. But,
how about you, Shawn?
Yeah. And along with that is when you get married, you're marrying their family as well. And so having that connection of getting along so well with the family, and as well as you guys getting along so well with our family, it helps everything a lot more as well. But also too is like you were saying, and a lot of people don't have the just the joy of having strong spiritual leaders as parents sometimes, and so it can be different. But when you do and you have a strong family unit, you want their approval, you want their eyes, and you want their opinion, because they often know you better than you know you. And they've seen you grow up, and they've seen all your tendencies and all your little things, and they they can put a puzzle piece together pretty well.
Yeah.
And so there is that connects with it as well.
Yeah.
Someday you'll be parents too, Lord willing. And when you have kids, that's when you realize how much parents love their own children, right?
Mhm.
And so when you realize how much your parents love you and that they want what's best for you more than anybody else on earth, to not want their opinion, knowing that they want what's best for you, like that's kind of a big deal, right? Because I mean, we want you guys to be blessed by the Lord. We want you to be walking in his will, not in our will, right? And so when you have parents that are submitted to God's will first and foremost, to be able to put that trust that they want that for you too, it's kind of huge, because sometimes love can be blind.
Yeah.
We always say marriage is an eye-opener.
All right, so then, you know, we have a meeting, and my knowledge of the meeting was that it was about worship leader.
Yes.
First, you have to share about the second time at the rehearsal.
Oh yeah, what happened?
Oh,
Yeah.
This was when we were setting up the drum kit. So this was our first rehearsal. We were setting up the drum kit,
Yeah.
right? And up until then, the Lord was leading to me to Megan, but I hadn't really fully was like on board yet. I was just like praying about it, and you know, I had an interest, but it wasn't like a really huge pull yet. And she had shown up in a completely different outfit than what I was used to seeing her at church. Was a very nice dressed and just like one. She was in one like full body jumpsuit camo suit and bright orange shooting hat on.
Yeah.
Right. And she walked up with her head down with her guitar, like all cool, and just stormed in, didn't even make eye contact. And I was just like, oh,
That's some personality.
that's, this is new. And,
That's why we call it sugar and spice.
I think we were both down there that night.
We were, because you
yeah.
were working on your sermon, and I was helping unload the drum set.
Yeah.
and so when I saw that personality a little bit, and she was helping set up the kit, and I just really was more on board and attracted, and was like, okay, Lord, I see it now a little bit. So the Lord had to kind of show me like, oh, she's cool. She's cool. And but after that, after that point, I was like, okay. I told my dad, I was like, okay, I'm meeting with Isaac next week. I'm just going to talk to him at our Wednesday meeting. I'm just going to talk to him right after.
So the original Wednesday meeting was for just about worship team, but
Well, that
your
was
mind
Forge. That was our Forge.
That was Forge, yes.
Oh yeah,
Men's
Okay.
thing.
Originally, yes.
Yeah, and we chatted briefly afterwards.
Yes.
Right? And I said, let's get together, didn't I?
To
No.
talk about
No.
worship.
No. So I had walked up to you. We had talked maybe a few times before that. I had walked up to you after Forge, and I said, hey, I was wondering if you wanted to get coffee sometime. And then you were like, oh, yeah, okay. And I think it had clicked a little bit in your head at that point of, oh, okay. And then, but you had also wanted to meet as well because,
Worship leader.
yes.
Yes.
And I didn't know about that either.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you had proceeded to ask me questions like, have you ever led anything? Have you ever led a group? And just what's your experience with leadership?
During our meeting.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we talked for about probably an hour about worship leader.
Yeah.
And so, you know, usually meetings go about an hour, especially with guys. They rarely go, I mean, women, 3 hours, but guys, 1 hour. It's about max.
1 hour's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're about hitting that hour. I'm, you know, thinking we're going to transition and so forth. But then I can tell there's something else you want to talk to me about. And I kind of in the back of my mind thought there might be.
Yeah.
And I go, is there something else you want to talk to me about?
Mm.
And then he did a big, yes.
I did do that. I stretched. I did stretch. It took a lot in me because, you know, we were so deep in conversation. You were very serious and stoic. And I was dropping a few jokes here
That's
and there.
unfortunate sometimes.
Yes. And
I wasn't trying to be intimidating at all.
He was
It's
just
just
focused
natural.
on
It's just
worship
my
team.
natural
He was
state
focused.
sometimes.
You
He's
would
just
take-
like, I need a worship leader. Let's talk.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just like, let's
You
get him
were taking
recruited.
it-
Let's get him on the team.
very seriously. And I was dropping jokes here and there, and you were just straight facing
So
them.
funny.
And I was like,
I don't remember the jokes.
he doesn't know.
That's so
I'm not. The jokes aren't landing. So
That's awesome.
I was having to change course a little bit, but yes. And then you had asked me like, is there anything else? And I think I was just like, yes, because I debated asking because
Okay.
I was nervous.
Yeah.
And then I believe I said, I'd like your permission to take your daughter out on a date
That's right.
for the purpose of marriage.
Yeah. And then I said, oh, that's a whole different kind of conversation.
Yes.
So we're starting over.
We're about to get real personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we went into it. We don't need to go into all that. We did another episode where I kind of highlight the 6 things you should ask a guy that wants to date your daughter. Everybody can go listen to that. But
Hey guys, let's talk about motherhood for a second. It is so easy to be thankful for motherhood when your kiddo gives you a hug or gives you a best mom ever birthday card, right? But what about when you're scrubbing crayon marks off the wall or in the middle of a toddler meltdown in the grocery store? I get it. I have 9 kids myself, and my friend Abby, who has 10 children, has just come out with her latest book, You Bet Your Stretch Marks. She is the author of M is for Mama and Hard is Not the Same Thing as Bad, but she's back with this new book that helps us to keep our eyes set on Jesus. Is motherhood hard? You bet. But is it worth it? You bet your stretch marks. So you can find this book available now wherever books are sold or go to MS for Mama to learn more. Looking for a math curriculum that actually works? Meet CTC Math. It's a full K through 12 curriculum that's flexible, effective, and designed to make sense. The secret? Short, engaging video lessons that break down tricky concepts into easy to understand steps. Whether you're homeschooling or just need a supplement, CTC Math fits your routine, not the other way around. And with 24/7 access to all lessons from all grades, your kids can learn anytime and anywhere. Ready to take the stress out of math? Visit ctcmath.com and start your free trial today. That's ctcmath.com. Confidence in math that starts here.
I went through those essential things that you got to ask a guy. Some of them very personal.
Yes.
Especially when you don't know someone,
Yeah.
because we had just met you.
Yeah.
So it's like fresh, new relationship.
Had maybe been a month. Yeah.
And then the outcome of it was I felt really good about you. And I was really pleased with your honesty and transparency and just learning about your life and just seeing that God had a unique plan for your life and that you were holding on to God's plan. You hadn't discarded it or stopped believing in it and these kinds of things, so which was beautiful to me. And I was so encouraged afterwards. I was really an advocate actually for you with my daughter inside. And I felt like there was a peace about it. But I did warn you because of what Megan had told me.
Yes.
I said, you can date my daughter, take her on a date, but I wouldn't. And the reason I wouldn't is because I don't know if I said what she said or not, but I said, I don't think she's wanting to do that with anybody right now.
Yeah.
So my advice to you is to be a friend. And if you're a friend, that time will come.
And you encouraged him to get to know the family and hang out and that we have an open door and that he's welcome anytime. And
Is that how you remember it?
Yes. It was like, I'm not saying no, but you should wait. I really recommend you wait.
Yeah.
Like get to know her, be her friend and come over, meet the family. Right. And but you were like, really like, wait.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you did, and you kept waiting, which was...
Okay, I just have to interject because I love this. So the guys were just getting to know each other, right? And so here's Isaac giving his advice, right? And Shawn, you have an analytical mind. So you're like the word wait. Tell us what that meant to you.
So I valued your words exactly as they're spoken. And then looked very deeply at your sentences as you were speaking. And so when you said, I think you should wait, you didn't tell me wait till here or wait till then or wait till this happens. You said to wait. And when I was praying on my way to meet with you, the Lord also was prompting me like, you should wait. And so it was an additional confirmation in a sense of you should wait. And I took that very literally as, okay, that means wait.
So Megan, wasn't there something about 3 months in your mind?
Okay, you got to tell us. You both have to tell us this. This is so cool.
So I had forgotten about this, but my friend had to remind me further down the road. So a month into him pursuing my dad to ask about me, Dad shared, hey, by the way, Shawn asked if he could date you for the purpose of marriage last month.
Later.
I'm like,
about 2 months later.
Actually, it was
2 months
Yeah,
later?
I was like 2 months later.
What? I was jaw dropped.
Well,
and
but-
that's when the boat started like moving for me because that was the Lord kind of like Megan, like, maybe pay attention, because I had closed off a little bit. I was like, no, like, our worship team, like, no. And so, like, I was just, like, so, like, trying to, like, keep it so simple. And then when Dad shared that with me, I was like, what? He, like, met about other stuff, too. And, like, it was kind of a passing thing. We were talking about other things, like, this same situation. We're talking about church stuff, even. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, by the way, you know, Shawn, I'm like, what?
Brushed over it. You're like, hey.
It's like, wait a minute.
It was interesting. People watching might be like, wait, so he asked and then he didn't go and talk to her, which normally Dad would. Like, normally in the past, when guys have come to Dad and asked him, he'll come to you within a day or two after praying about it and say, what do you think about this person? Do you want me to let them down? Would you like to? Do you want to give them the green light? And so it was like a talking, right? Yeah. But with Shawn, there wasn't that at first, because Isaac really felt strongly, based upon what you had told us and where you were. No, I think that it's better if we just all wait for a little bit and we let her start being interested. Yes. And then see how God moves this forward on his timeline.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. And well, it's funny because I found out a month, and then another month went by and my feelings had grown for Shawn. And it was like this specific day we went horseback riding with some friends, and I was house sitting, and I had a friend helping me house sit, and she was, I was like upset because I was like, okay, I actually really have feelings for Shawn, and like admitted to them and was like, he's all these things, like he loves Lord so much, like I could see us doing ministry together, like, but I was like, and I have so much peace about him, but I'm like, why? It was totally an attack from the enemy. I was like, why hasn't he pursued me if it's been 2 months since he met with my dad? Like,
so
that's never happened
she started
before.
Thinking like, oh, maybe he's not interested anymore.
Yes, like he changed his mind, and like, cause I had been seeing him every rehearsal, every Sunday, and then at Spike Ball, like,
and still, he started going
to seeing him like 4 to
4 or
5 days
times
a week, which is crazy, and it was all very natural. We'd never been one-on-one until our first date, which was really cool too. But it was crazy because that specific night, I admitted to feelings. I also was like in my car emotional with the Lord, because it was I realized in my surrender to singleness, I kind of had this like idea that I had to protect my heart so much, and the Lord so softly was like, Megan, I'm giving you someone, like I'm giving you a gift. I brought someone to Horseshoe Bend. Mm-hmm. Like I brought someone your parents love, like all these things. And I was like, yeah. And it was just like, open your heart. Like, I'm supposed to protect your heart. Your dad is supposed to protect your heart. And we are. Like, it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like, everything's checked off. Why am I like, no, like kind of had fear behind it. And then I had this conversation with my friend, and she was like, I was upset. And she's like, Megan, you literally told me like 4 months ago you are going to be like close friends with your future husband for 3 months before you date. And like, you told me to hold you to it. And I was like, really? I was like, wait, so I have to wait another month?
And then it comes along about 3 months that I sense a restlessness in you based on conversations. Yeah. Well, why isn't he?
Yeah, I was like, Dad, what did you tell him? What did you do? No.
Well, and then we went on a prayer walk together, and we started talking, and Megan was she was really, okay, so for moms, I believe this is when they get to this place, when your daughter gets to a place where she's just so thankful and at peace in the Lord, but also like open to whatever God has, then you feel like there's just that it feels right. Yeah. So many moms ask me, how do you know? Okay, how old is she? And they asked this with Austin, because Austin was 18. You're almost 21. Kelsey was 24, almost 25 when she got married. She was 24. Anyways, so like people will ask, well, how do you know when they're ready? And my response is always, you have a peace about it because of who they are in Christ and where their relationship is with God. Because it's not about having all like a career nailed. It's not about all these things that the world looks at, saying you have to have these things in order to get married. No, if you have Christ and you have a true, genuine foundation in him, and there's spiritual maturity, a teachable heart, and a desire to grow in him, all the other things will fall into place because those are given to you by God. You know what I mean? It's like that is his job. Your job is to pursue Christ, right? And so when we went on that prayer walk, I saw that in you, and I saw you like, Mom, I just love Jesus so much. And you're like emotional in a love. Like, I love Jesus. He's brought this person. And you were just even at the place of holding Shawn open-handed. He hadn't yet asked you on a date. And you were like wondering, maybe he's not the one because you were doubting.
And it was right after Dad had told me he wanted to pursue me. So that's when the ball started rolling. And I hadn't had like real feelings yet. It wasn't that 2-month mark when we went horseback riding. And I was like, okay, but because there's a difference between feelings and like, again, I had so much respect for Shawn, and like there was just like this connection that we had that I couldn't fully understand, and he brought me so much peace. And I remember being on that walk with Mom, and it was like, okay, Mom, I know he's the one. I know I'm gonna marry him.
And they hadn't gone on a date yet.
But like I didn't even have feelings, and I told you, it was like, when the Lord gives you knowledge about something, you can't fully comprehend, because it's not your job to comprehend it. It's just your job to prepare your mind for it. And so like God gave me that knowledge of, you're going to marry him. Just let the ball roll. Let me take care of it. Fall in love. Enjoy the experience, like trust me through it all. And it was like, he's here and it's going to happen.
Wow.
And it was such a
and it was crazy
feeling.
Because the Lord, I believe, gave me that same intel about you guys. And so then
including your parents.
Yeah. And your mom did also. And so your mom had told you, not us at that point. I hadn't told anyone but Isaac. I just said, I remember looking at your application for worship team and like we were praying for you because we've been praying for you for the worship leader. And I just kind of looked at him and I said, I think this is more than what we think it is.
Yeah.
Wow. And he was like, yeah. And I go, get ready. It's going to go fast. And I just kind of like, we had that conversation
I said,
a couple
Mom,
times.
I don't know when it's going to start, but when the ball starts rolling, it's going to
go fast.
Yeah.
I just kind of knew it. And it was just this strange thing. And what's interesting for those of you who are listening is like with Isaac and I, here's a little tidbit. I was at college and he just graduated UW and was moving to the town that I grew up in. And my parents invited him to Thanksgiving without telling me. And I remember coming home from college, going to Thanksgiving, being like, what are you doing here? And my mom's like, can I talk to you outside? And so we like walked out onto this back patio area and she was just like, I invited him. And he has been in contact with your dad and I just think you need to be open-minded. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, he wants to take you to meet his family on the East Coast. And he says he wants to marry you. And I think he's the one you need to just be open. And I was like, it was just this like huge, like, what are you telling me? Like, I have said no to this and I'm not, I also thought I was going to be like Paul and be a missionary. Right. And so, but having that experience with my mom, I always wondered if that was going to potentially happen to me. Like if I was going to know who was going to be the one for one of my kids or some of my kids. And when I met Shawn, I remember shaking his hand and him looking at me dead on in the eyes and going, oh yeah, I think this might be the one for her. But I kept it to myself and I told Dad and I just kept quiet for months about it. And then months later, once you finally started having feelings and questioning and doubting, I felt like the Lord was saying, it's okay to tell her what I've told you so that she has peace. So I told you. And then we cried together and we prayed all the way back home.
Beautiful.
And it was just so special.
So beautiful.
I remember there was a couple of weeks in a row where, Shawn, you would come over before or after worship team and you would hang out with the family. There was even a week where your sister came too and we had the fire pit and we were singing worship music outside and hanging out as a family. And you guys would, as a worship team, like you and Ethan went on prayer walks together. I have video and picture of you walking down the dirt road towards the river to go prayer walking. That was the first
time we did that. It was amazing.
And at that point, that was actually, I think that the first time you did that was just before our prayer walk together where we had that conversation.
That's you're totally right. You're bringing back the memory because that's why I got that piece. We went on this prayer walk and I like had a hat on and he couldn't really see me and we're praying and we're looking down and he started praying first and just instantly when he prayed, like again, it was that piece of like he prays just like me, but he prays like a man who knows his father. And like it brought me so much joy and like comfort and I just felt like at home, honestly. Like I was like I want this man to pray for me. I want this man to pray over my family. Like it was a big realization. It was very
And that
special.
was a week. I actually think that was might have been close to the week leading up to Resurrection Sunday, where there was a group of us that were fasting and praying together for Resurrection Sunday because you had joined in on that. And so you left, you were like, okay, you guys are going to eat. I'm going to go prayer walk to kind of be away from that because you were fasting, right? I remember this. And I was like, yep, totally makes sense. And then you and Ethan joined him. And it was just this special moment where I remember thinking like this, I'm seeing more of his spiritual walk with the Lord.
And spiritual leadership, which, listen, parents, you've got to see at least a trend line that there's going to be spiritual leadership. If someone wants to date your daughter, if there's not even a trend line, if the person is just completely uncomfortable praying in front of anybody, they got some more maturing to do before they're ready to date your daughter. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be, and that's a big problem today is men not leading their family spiritually. And that folks
that's a make it or break it.
That's
right
a big
there,
deal.
Actually. I mean, I think that just being comfortable, I think it says a lot, like the comfortability. Sometimes parents won't necessarily see that in the guy that's coming to date your daughter unless here's the note to the moms, open up your home and make them feel welcome, share meals together, let them be a part of the family events so that they start to feel comfortable enough where they're able to say, like join in on the prayer or say, hey, can we go prayer walking? And like you felt comfortable to do that. And a lot of guys wouldn't necessarily do that. You know what I mean?
So we already saw evidence of spiritual leadership once they started dating, which we'll back up in a second. Then I would hear things from Megan about how he led in prayer, or how he initiated reading the Bible, or how he initiated spiritual leadership. So it's so good to look for those things. But let's go to our meeting real quick. And we were all doing spike ball together, Treasure Valley spike ball. And I said, let's meet beforehand. Is that what I said?
Yes. So you're like, hey, let's meet the hour before spike ball, and we'll have our meeting. And up until then, I was praying and I was waiting. And that word wait, I was taking that literally as wait.
And I honestly was kind of like, why is he still waiting? I'm not sure. I guess it must have been the way I said it.
Well, Megan and I made you doubt that.
I don't want to be in trouble here because she's wondering why he hasn't asked her out.
What'd you say exactly?
Am I in the problem here? So let me go see if I'm the problem. Yeah. Anyway, so we had a meeting, which we would chit-chat a little bit about worship stuff, but pretty quick went into this. And I think I said something like, hey, if you're still interested in taking Megan on a date, feel free. I don't want to be in the way of that.
What God's doing.
Yeah. You basically were like, hey, just letting you know, you've got the green light from me. And you've been very patient. You've waited a long time. Yeah. But you've got the green light from me. And I told you initially when we met that you could. And I was like, I didn't get that. I heard wait. And so we laughed about that because. Yeah. But yes, you said you've got the green light from me. You're good to go. And you've been very patient.
And then you waited a really long time to ask her on a date. Was it at least 3 hours?
Yeah. Maybe 4 hours. Yeah. Ran out of there. No. We proceeded to play spike ball, boys around it, and afterwards I get a text from my mom saying that Megan's over at my house painting with her. It's just her there. And I was like, okay, Lord, is this the opportunity right here?
Well, she was like, Megan's painting at our house alone with me. Heart, heart, heart. She was like, wink, wink.
Totally. And she had no clue that we had met. And so I was like, oh, okay, Lord. And started praying about it and was trying to find a way to, shimmy myself over there without being like, I'm just coming over because Megan's here because it's too obvious. I got to make. And so I saw if they wanted some food, and I called. I was like, hey, you guys hungry? And they're like, no, we're not hungry. Megan, are you hungry? No, I'm not hungry. You can still come by if you want, though. And then I was, okay. And then my dad calls, and he's like, hey, Zach and I want burgers, though, so you can bring us some. I'm like, okay, sweet. So we got the food and went over there.
Was he just helping to have a reason for you to come over so it didn't look awkward?
I don't know.
There was no connection.
Okay.
I remember
He just really wanted burgers.
He just really wanted burgers.
And his mom was like, he's like, who's on the phone with you? He's like, Shawn, he's asking if you wanted food. Oh, did you want food? He's like, wait, me and Zach would love a burger. And so he like called him. Yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah. And then drove on over there, and it had been, 2 hours after we had met, and proceeded to paint. And then I got the opportunity, the first time I was one-on-one with her, I got to walk her to the truck that she was borrowing. So, yeah, no more than just a few hours later. And then I got to ask her out.
How did you ask?
You tell it really
So she had a very busy week. She had a very busy upcoming few days. And so I thought in my head for a while, I was like, okay, how do I walk it in real smooth so she doesn't see it coming? And so I proceeded to talk to her at the car about like, okay, what are you doing tomorrow? And then, okay, and then you got this. And then the Saturday you're doing this. Oh, Sunday, and then you're doing this. And then Monday we're going to do this. And then it's Tuesday. And I'm like, wow, you're busy like the next 6 days. She's like, yeah, I am. I'm like, and then Friday.
Covering the objection ahead of time.
Yeah. And then Friday, I'm like, next Friday, and then you're busy, right? She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, you're going on a date, right? And I'm like, you're going on a date, right? With me. And she goes, huh?
Just start blushing. I'm like, wait, what is happening?
Totally caught her off guard. And
That's really good. I haven't heard this.
And then I said, okay, I'm just kidding. Would you like to go on a date with me on Friday? And so I officially asked her, and she, what did you say? You said,
I just said yes.
She just said yes with a big smile. Yeah.
Were you like high-fiving on the drive home? You're sealing your...
No, he has a really funny story of what he witnessed. I got so flustered.
So she just kind of froze up, said yes. I gave her a hug, and I said, okay, bye. And I ran to my car. And because I had my heartbeat was going the whole time. And then
we gave like the most awkward hug too. It was like this side hug. I was in the car and it was like, hey, bye.
Yeah. And then my mom comes out because she was borrowing our truck, had no radio. So she was coming to bring our Bluetooth speaker for her. My mom comes out to come bring it to her. And she all of a sudden is just could not drive.
I couldn't figure out the lights. I couldn't figure out how to back up. I was like,
Yep. And my mom walks up and I see her with the thing and she goes to the window. She's like stunned because Megan's like, I can't do it. I can't put it in reverse. I can't see. I can't. How do I? And my mom's like, calm down. And I'm from a distance. I see my mom trying to calm her down. I'm like, what's going on? And she gives her the speaker and she finally gets the car in reverse, nearly backs into me. I had to put it in reverse and back up because she couldn't see. And then she pulls away and gives me a nice little wave as she goes by. And then my mom comes over and she says, I don't know what was up with that. Like
with that girl.
Like, what was wrong? She's like, we just were painting the whole time and she was all calm and just, we had a great time. And then I just went to give her the speaker and she just couldn't even, she was
like,
freaking
did I
out.
say something?
Did it something I said? And then meanwhile, my mom's telling me this. I'm going, Mom, listen, wait, Mom. And I'm trying to pause her and she keeps going. She's just, I don't know what was wrong. And she just could not get the car. She was just like all strung up, just going crazy. And I'm like, Mom. And I finally get her to stop. And I'm like, I just asked her out. Like, and she just explodes and screams, probably woke up the neighborhood. And then she's just like, oh, that makes sense. That's why she couldn't get out of the driveway. And then from that point, it was like, okay. And then she's like, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know. I just told her the next day she's free. And then immediately we had to figure out where we were going.
One of the things that's interesting, now you're in this dating path towards marriage. You both believe the same thing, that doesn't make sense to date unless there's potential for marriage. You don't know for sure sometimes, but in this case you did. Yes. And that's really beautiful. But having a standard, your own personal conviction and standard for purity and what you're going to do in that department is really important. I think that's one of the questions I asked you at one of those meetings. Yes. Is what is your conviction? Instead of leading with what my conviction is, I wanted to know what your conviction was. And that really made me happy to hear what your conviction was. And I think that's really an amazing thing. I think parents that instill a conviction by force, it's going to backfire. But parents who instill a biblical conviction by sharing the word of God and talking about the whys and praying that they get saved, your kids get saved and walk with the Lord, that's the way. Because unless it's the actual child's conviction, they're going to do whatever they're going to do.
Right. And it really, at this age, I mean, when you're young adults, it has to be your conviction because it's your decision. Yeah. And so, like, I think that for us, if someone is dating for the purpose of marriage, then there should be a level of ownership and responsibility with convictions like that to show that they're even ready to be thinking about the purpose of marriage, right?
Yes.
Like it's kind of a mini test of like, well, have you thought about this? What is your leadership of yourself in that? What is your word to yourself? What do you believe God's calling you to, and are you going to listen to that? It's really cool.
Yes.
So as much as you want to share, but what are your where are your convictions, or
how's it gone?
How's it gone?
Dating and then getting engaged.
Yeah. And I wanted to add on there too. It ties into even with pursuing as well, and that sense of how you guys were talking about earlier, with loving your child so much and understanding that, and that ties into pursuing. And I really had to put myself in the shoes of okay, if I had a daughter, how would I go about pursuing her? And then when you're dating for the purpose of marriage, you have that intentionality of like, okay, it's for the purpose of marriage, especially with purity. And so, and then understanding you and thinking, okay, I know how much he loves his daughter. So I know how to pursue her and pursue him, and as well, going to the Father first as well. And so I think that all ties in with that purity, with your convictions, with that purity is like, think about, okay, this is Isaac's daughter. This is Isaac's daughter. This is Isaac's daughter. So reminding myself of that.
Oh, love that.
That's a special nugget for the listeners. Yeah.
Good.
No, I think it's good. I think it's something that dads can pass on and talk to their sons about. Are you viewing that girl as your future father-in-law's daughter?
Yes.
Too, as God's daughter, right? Like we talk about that all the time. It's like, oh, they're a child of God. They're a sister in Christ. They're a brother in Christ. You hear that a lot. But like you said earlier, that when you're choosing a bride, you're also married into a family.
Yes.
Right? So you're gaining brothers, you're gaining sisters, you're gaining another set of parents. In that sense, you're going to be in each other's lives, Lord willing, for generations. So it's like the foundation of building those relationships, the first step, the first impressions, all those things, right?
Yes.
And wanting to do that in a God glorifying, not human impressing, but God glorifying way, where God is the foundation. When you consider other people, that's what God asks us to do.
Yes.
Consider others first as more important than yourselves, right? And so what I hear you saying when you're talking about how you viewed her as Isaac's daughter, you were viewing him as God is telling us to put other people more important, which is super special.
And it ties into being above reproach. And that ties into with the Lord even giving me the convictions of never directly messaging her until I was pursuing her for the purpose of marriage officially, of like, I had asked her out. That was up until the point I'd ever directly messaged her.
Which wasn't something I ever mentioned.
And no.
It wasn't some kind of rule we did. You guys had your own.
And it wasn't a rule that we raised you with.
No, the Lord told him not to direct message me, not be one-on-one with me, and not text me, which was something that, like, in the moment, I didn't want him DMing me. I kind of wanted him to text me, and so it was something I was, like, really wanting, because I was like, I want to get to know him better. But looking back, it was totally the Lord and the Holy Spirit moving in that and guiding him, because it allowed me to gain so much more respect for him and how I was pursued and how it was really full courting. Like, it was not anything until there's a yes, until the first date. Like,
you felt respected by him and cherished.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. I think that's key for the daughters, that they feel respected by the guy.
Yeah.
And I think definitely when you respect her father, it helps you to respect her more.
Yeah. And when a man is so respectful and so, like, such a gentleman, like, opens the door for you, like, spiritually leads you, wants to talk about the Lord more than anything else, like, all these things, you can make a big list, right? When you have that in front of you, it makes it easier to, like, stay pure too, because you're like, your mind is on the spiritual level more. And it's like, I have, like, so much respect for him, so I couldn't, like, I can't let my mind go in places, like, it helps so much. I think respect is a big deal.
Yeah.
Wow, honoring each other well. That was an amazing conversation, and it's going to be continued in the next episode, where we're gonna
talk about your engagement. The whole process. We talked about Shawn taking us out for lunch and
the rock story, incredible rock story.
Got engaged, the whole thing.
The engagement party, all the things, praying for them. Shawn getting carried. That was interesting.
Yeah. But my favorite part is the tips that you give to other young people in your season of life who maybe are waiting in a waiting period, or they are maybe dating for the purpose of marriage.
Yes.
You absolutely are going to love that conversation towards the end of next week's podcast. So.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.